A reading from the book of Genesis, Genesis chapter 45. Then Joseph could not control himself before all those who stood by him. He cried, "Make everyone go out from me." So no one stayed with him when Joseph made himself known to his brothers. And he wept aloud, so that the Egyptians heard it, and the household of Pharaoh heard it. And Joseph said to his brothers, "I am Joseph. Is my father still alive?" But his brothers could not answer him, for they were dismayed at his presence. So Joseph said to his brothers, "Come near to me." And they came near. And he said, "I am your brother Joseph, whom you sold into Egypt. And now do not be distressed or angry with yourselves because you sold me here, for God sent me before you to preserve life. For the famine has been in the land these 2 years, and there are yet 5 years in which there will be neither plowing nor harvest. And God sent me before you to preserve for you a remnant on earth, and to keep alive for you many survivors. So it was not you who sent me here, but God. He has made me a father to Pharaoh, and Lord of all his house, and ruler over all the land of Egypt. Hurry and go up to my father and say to him, 'Thus says your son Joseph, God has made me Lord of all Egypt. Come down to me, do not tarry. He shall dwell in the land of Goshen. You shall dwell in the land of Goshen, and you shall be near me, you and your children, and your children's children, and your flocks, your herds, and all that you have. There I will provide for you, for there are yet 5 years of famine to come, so that you and your household and all that you have do not come to poverty. And now your eyes see, and the eyes of my brother Benjamin see, that it is my mouth that speaks to you. You must tell my father of all my honor in Egypt, and of all that you have seen. Hurry and bring my father down here." Then he fell upon his brother Benjamin's neck and wept. And Benjamin wept upon his neck, and he kissed all his brothers and wept upon them. After that his brothers talked with him. When the report was heard in Pharaoh's house, "Joseph's brothers have come," it pleased Pharaoh and his servants. And Pharaoh said to Joseph, "Say to your brothers, do this: load your beasts and go back to the land of Canaan, and take your father and your households, and come to me, and I will give you the best of the land of Egypt, and you shall eat the fat of the land. And you, Joseph, are commanded to say, do this: take wagons from the land of Egypt for your little ones and for your wives, and bring your father and come. Have no concern for your goods, for the best of all the land of Egypt is yours." The sons of Israel did so, and Joseph gave them wagons according to the command of Pharaoh, and gave them provisions for the journey. To each and all of them he gave a change of clothes. But to Benjamin he gave 300 shekels of silver and 5 changes of clothes. To his father he sent as follows: 10 donkeys loaded with the good things of Egypt, and 10 female donkeys loaded with grain, bread, and provisions for his father on the journey. Then he sent his brothers away, and as they departed he said to them, "Do not quarrel on the way." So they went up out of Egypt and came to the land of Canaan, to their father Jacob. And they told him, "Joseph is still alive, and he is ruler over all the land of Egypt." And his heart became numb, for he did not believe them. But when they told him all the words of Joseph, which he had said to them, and when he saw the wagons that Joseph had sent to carry him, the spirit of their father Jacob revived. And Israel said, "It is enough. Joseph, my son, is still alive. I will go and see him before I die." Joseph says an incredible thing. You had plans for wickedness for me, for evil for me, but God had plans of good. Do not be distressed and angry with yourselves because you sold me here. For God sent me before you to preserve life. God was able to use the corrupt and wicked plans of the brothers of Joseph. He was able to subvert their plans, to tie them into something greater. Archbishop Fulton Sheen, now venerable Fulton Sheen, wrote about how at the beginning of creation, there was a beautiful melody of creation. And the devil and Adam and Eve tried to add to this beautiful melody a note that sounded wrong. And so what could God do? This beautiful symphony that he had prepared, what could he do with this note? Because this note, sin entering into the world, would resound for the rest of eternity. And so God, being a skilled composer, a skilled musician, brought that note into harmony. He was able to take a note that at first sounds discordant, that at first sounds like it is out of tune, and to bring it into the harmony of creation. And he does this primarily through the incarnation, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. So we see as a prototype, as a first seed, as a shadow of Jesus's reconciliation of all sin into leading it to perfection through redemption and mercy. We see in that God's plan where he is able to bring the discordant note of the brothers who were so wicked that they sold their brother into slavery. He was able to use that wickedness. He was able to transform the suffering of Joseph and give it purpose. He was able to bring Joseph from slavery into lordship. That Joseph himself says, I am like a father to Pharaoh. And Pharaoh says, you are ruler of Egypt in all things except for the name of Pharaoh and the crown. That Joseph was able to save not only his family, but the people of Egypt and the whole world. Because God was able to use something that looked bad and turn it into something beautiful. Another example, maybe some of you have seen the TV show Chopped, where they replace one ingredient with an ingredient that seems worse. And a skilled chef is able to take that ingredient and transform it. Transform it into something beautiful. Transform it into something delicious. And we see Joseph, how he shows mercy to his brothers, how he blesses them, how he saves their families despite them trying to put him to death, trying to sell him to slavery. And so again, we see a prototype of Jesus' mercy, who despite being crushed by our sins, returns love and grace and mercy to us. That we are like the brothers who have sold Jesus into slavery, who have cast him into a pit that he might die. And he has returned us with blessings. He has repaid us with abundant gifts. He has repaid us by saving not only ourselves, but our families. In Joseph, we see a beautiful fulfillment of God's promise to Abraham. And yet, it is not the final fulfillment. It is not Joseph who fulfills God's promise to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. They are waiting still for something greater. They are waiting still for someone who is greater even than the ruler of Egypt. They are waiting, although they do not know it, for a child born in a manger.